Welcome back to Incubate Talent. Today we're going to take a look at how nonprofits and STEM education outreach can create meaningful virtual and physical experiences for students. These types of nonprofits are critical to student learning, whether it's after school, summer only, or programs that last year-round. Joining us today, we have a newcomer to the Alabama STEM ecosystem, Athenian, led by Loxley Browne. Athenian is an online extracurricular club for girls only that offers career exploration with insights from industry experts and programs like their upcoming mission to Mars. Athenians use a private members-only social network and host a number of hands-on activities for its members to get their hands dirty. Athenians also get the opportunity to participate in insider experiences like visiting the Andretti Racing Program, NASA, and the FBI's Huntsville campus. As a girl dad, I also appreciate what Athenian is doing to make certain trades cool and add perspective to young girls' lives about the career paths that exist in the automotive industry, different trade skills, and much, much more. We hope you enjoy this episode. All right, welcome back to Incubate Talent, and today we have joining us Loxley Browne. Loxley, thank you. Thank you for helping coordinate this space. An exciting place that we'll definitely tell more about. But how about we just start with an introduction? Tell us a little bit about yourself and Athenian and the great things you have going on.
So I am Loxley Browne, new to the North Alabama STEM ecosystem. We just recently moved the company, our nonprofit, from the West Coast back to my home, the South. And I have been just wanting to dig in and create a really great footprint of girls in STEM here in this area who are the ones who want to get their hands dirty. They want to learn everything. They want to create that list of skills and those portfolios that they can show, get their charms, read their books. And we actually have charm bracelets, which help them when they're doing interviews or talking to adults. When they have that brain freeze, they can look down at their charm and go, let me tell you about something I did. So those are the things that are really important to me. We're the new professional club for the teenagers and teenagers who are going to take that professional track. They really want to establish themselves at a young age. You have to do that now to set yourself apart. So the parents are looking for those clubs where their daughters can do that. And we provide that for their daughters. We are girls only, so we're really concentrating on helping the daughters to really establish their footprint at a young age so that they know the track they want to go down. So they're not wasting years of their life getting degrees that when they get out of university or whatever type of training they go through, they look back and they go, if I would have known this was it, I wouldn't have done it. I just wasted that time and money doing something I didn't want to do. And, a lot of us and, the Gen Xers, we get to, our 40s and we go, I'm going to do what I want to do now. And
you don't have to wait that long.
You don't have to. Like, I want these little girls, my Athenians, to know, and they come to me and they'll go, well, I know I want to do engineering, or I know I want to be a designer, but I don't really know what. I'm like, okay, let's research this. Let's find you the right role models to talk to. Let's bring this into a camp experience. Let's bring this into a monthly member experience so that everybody gets to hear, because now you've asked this question and, hey, we're on the clubhouse and we're talking about it. We have our own private clubhouse. Nobody can see it. I keep it very protected for them. But it's like LinkedIn. And I was showing it to one of our board members in Huntsville this morning, Gayla Siddharth. I took my laptop over to her and I said, see, look, this is what the girls get to see. And she's like, oh my.
Is it collaboration between them, content that you're making and putting out? Like what?
So it's collaboration between them. It keeps them up to date on all the events. Okay. So it really helps them with time management. We do different, we'll just pose different questions weekly, or, we provide different professional tips. Like, we're really wanting them to understand the importance of their digital footprint and what they are saying out loud to the world. And for our girls who are going to go with us to Redstone Arsenal for the FBI tour this fall, you're already being warned by Mr. Johnny to be very careful about your digital footprint. The FBI will not let you come tour if you have any mishaps on your digital footprint.
Interesting. Well,
Yes.
I mean, especially important for kids that age, and all of the stresses of social media.
Yeah.
And it's great that you're teaching some responsibility around that.
Yes, we're very based on, and once the girls join us, and we do have a membership fee just like all of the other clubs do, but it really brings them into the clubhouse and they get to deep dive into, our handbook. They sign a commitment letter. They really dive into, this year I want to do 3 charms. I want to focus on public speaking. I want to focus on time management. Whatever, we have available, they commit to that. And then they share that with the club. And they share that with their parents so that everybody understands what their focus is. Because this is just like, while this is not in schools, we are an extracurricular club that's outside of that. We are a professional club. So it's just like, parents that belong to the Kiwanis or the Rotary. You dive into, what you love about that club and you invest into the events and the skills that you want to learn in that club. And it's the same for our Athenians.
Well, it sounds like you're customizing it a little bit too to each of the girls. That's great.
Absolutely. And they will talk to you. They will brag about the personalization of it. I had a gathering of our past presidents a couple of weeks ago, and it was so fun listening to them talk because we all keep that connection. Like, I just enjoy these girls, and I get texts from them. Helena's going to Syracuse now. She's going to graduate a year early. She's pre-law. She was one of my past presidents during COVID. So she lives in Connecticut. We've never met face-to-face. But we are always talking to each other. I can call her up at any point and go, hey, could you talk to this company about what you learned? And she's like, absolutely. I'd be glad to share it with them. And she did. And it was funny. She was on the design team who did the livery design for the IndyCar that we were a part of.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Dave Merrick, who is the executive creative director for Acura, is on our board of advisors, and he led them through designing a livery. So they got firsthand experience from a man who has been involved in car design his entire life, and he loves it. He's trying to pass that love down to the next generation. This generation that's coming up now that's kind of like, well, I don't want to drive a car. I don't want to drive a car. And you can just feel his passion for it. And he's always designed the livery for Ron Cap's funny car.
Okay.
So you can see how he has progressed through the past, I think, 30 years now that he's been designing it. And each year it's a little bit different, but it's always that Napa, it's always Ron's car. And so he was sharing that with the girls, and it's so fun to hear. And they watch the progression of it. And so that really taught them a lot. So that's how we really come up with events and training that the rest of the world's not going to provide. We're very unique in the fact that I reach out to my friends and I talk to different people across the USA because we are virtual. So we're doing all of this training online, but it's live virtual at times. Other times it's self-paced virtual. The one thing I have discovered with the students is summertime, they're mine. They are full throttle Athenians. They are doing whatever they can do. And during the school year, because a lot of these girls are AP or, they've got band or other sports to do. So they do what they can. They mix it in with their other activities. So they're not, a lot of what I want to teach them that they need to learn is time management, not to overextend yourself and do everything you can possibly do as a kid while you have your family and while you have Athenian to support you. And, whatever other clubs you're involved in, dive into it, learn everything you can, try everything, because you're going to discover what you love and what you don't like.
And what
and you've got to have those experiences instead of just going, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, you've really got to try it, because you might say, yeah, I don't want to. 2 summers ago, we took a BMW and gutted it, took the guts out of it, the motor, the transmission, the gas tank, everything came out of that car. The whole dashboard. Akshay and I called that deconstruction therapy. It was fantastic. It was so much fun.
A little therapeutic too.
Oh yeah. It was awesome. But she, she's in there with the crowbar and she's taking stuff apart. She looks at me. She goes, I want to go into the medical field, don't you? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, but aren't you having fun? She's like, this is the best therapy I've ever had.
There you go. Nice.
And I'm like, okay, now think about this. While you're going through your med tech, biotech track, in graduate school, you're going to be able to look at everyone around you and say, that's not going to work because you can't build it like that. And here's why, because I was an Athenian, and for 2 summers in a row, I built our FabCamp projects. Like, she was out there cutting metal, setting everything up for welding.
Literally building.
Yeah. Literally building. So when you get that opportunity, and that's really what, my background is, I grew up on a farm, so we were raising cattle and quarter horses, and then I was in the city. So I had that combination, city girl, country girl, farm girl. And I really, when you're on a farm, you don't go, hey, we need this one certain screw to be able to do this. You have to take whatever's available, and you have to innovate and keep whatever you're working on working, because it's usually you're in the middle of a major project, something breaks, you've got to fix it, keep going. And kids nowadays are not getting that practical hands-on experience. Just practical, logical, everything's a throwaway society, and I'm trying to make them, and they are very cognizant of environmental reuse, recycle. So, they're coming to me going, well, what are we going to build that's environmentally friendly? And that's why last summer we built e-bikes. So,
wonderful. Yeah.
For all of the girls who are going to college, usually your first year of college, you do not get a car.
Nope. A bike can be very, very useful. Very useful.
So I looked at them and said, how many of you have a bicycle sitting in your garage that's collecting dust right now? And everybody's like, doing all the funny emojis online. And I'm like, let's make that an e-bike so that you can take that to college with you. You can zip down to, the local grocery store a mile or 2 away. You won't have to Uber everywhere. You'll be able to get across campus easier. But here's the important part. You're going to have a portfolio project that you talk about in your college essay. That's going to set you apart. It's really going to make a difference. When you go to that internship interview and you roll in with your bicycle that you've built.
Yeah, if you don't have job experience, what are the examples that you're going to hit on of, here are the things that I did?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Well, and the connection to fabrication and the types of experiences that you all are creating, I want to talk more about that and how you're accomplishing that virtually. But before we get there, this is something you've done before. So talk about what success has looked like for you in California and kind of bringing that here. How many members do you have, and just what does past success look like that you're trying to bring here?
So I started Athenian in California 3 months before we went into lockdown. So we were in with the second largest school district in California, and all of a sudden the doors get slammed. And it was very different there than here. So instead of, like the other nonprofits that I was talking with, I was getting mentored by one, they were freaking out, creating a new budget every week. We'll just wait till this happens. We'll wait till we can do this. And I was like, I am not going to put the girls through that worry of what happens next. I am going to be the anchor for them, the foundation that they know this is what's going to happen. So I immediately paused everything for a month, put everything online, and we grew from just our base. We had our base 10 girls that were going to be like the faces and represent and go out and work with other school kids. We immediately changed it. And this is one thing about running a business. You got to morph and change.
Got to adapt, yeah.
You got to adapt. And so I did that. It was like full throttle. We're going to go online. This is going to be virtual. We went from 10 members to 250 members overnight.
Wow.
We had 100 and something girls at our very first Fab Camp during extreme lockdown. That was when Helena came on as president. She really helped grow everything. She's one of those, and that's a great thing about the virtual side of things. We're 100% virtual. We've now started adding the different events. We'll do tours at different manufacturing plants. We're going to be touring Redstone.
Nice.
So bringing them into the pieces that they want to see. So the kids will be able to come from wherever they are in the U.S. and come to these. And we plan them out in enough advance that the family knows, so they can kind of wrap a family vacation around it.
Yeah.
But, really having that virtual side of thing, makes it great for the military girls.
Can
And their
extend your
families
reach,
are in
yeah.
military. The tech families that move all over the place, because the tech world moves almost as much as the military world does. And then a lot of, just the families, too, that live in rural areas. So parents get burned out being the Uber driver all the time. And when they're Athenians, you don't have to worry about Ubering them everywhere because the only thing they have to do is get online with their friends for an hour, do something they really love together, and then they go off and research or they create something or build something. So it really provides those who are in those far out areas or who are going to move a lot with the stability of knowing they're going to make friends, and it doesn't matter where they are. So, if one of the military families has to move from Huntsville up to Virginia, she's still going to know that group of girls, and she's usually going to know somebody there by this point. So, that really helps. Especially, we had one girl the second year of Fab Camp, and she was in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, and she would drive in with her dad to the Air Force Base to have Wi-Fi access to be in camp every day.
And actually dial in there? Yeah.
And dial in from there because they were so far out they didn't have Wi-Fi. So, those are the kind of success stories where I'm like, we just got a girl who would never have had this experience.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really important to unpack that because, I mean, there's been a lot of fascinating stories coming out of the pandemic, right? And how we had to learn, or how students had to learn, how teachers had to teach really changed. But some of the common barriers that still exist today are connections into rural communities or underserved communities, and how do you get resources there? And how do you do that outside of a virtual means? I mean, there's different options, but virtual is definitely one of them, right? And it's great to hear that somebody's doing that in a meaningful way. What does that experience look like for the students? So they're at their house, they're dialing in. Obviously, they have this community, this digital community that they can work with each other on and hear from you and others. I mean, are you all sending like STEM kits? Like, are y'all sending things?
So we have two big events that are happening right now, our two big summer activities. One is Fab Camp, so this is our 5th year of Fab Camp. And then we also have the Mission to Mars. So Fab Camp is girls only, and it is July the 8th through 12th. So right now, girls can still, parents, sign up your daughters. The girls can still get involved. They get a month in the clubhouse. You don't have to be a member to join for Fab Camp.
Nice.
But we're going to show you the experience of being in the clubhouse and how much fun it is to connect. And we've set this up so that it doesn't matter which time zone you're in across the United States. You're going to start at 9 o'clock in the morning. You're going to end at 1:30 that afternoon. And we have a live keynote speaker that comes on at noon Eastern time. And then we do the rocket kit together after that. And then, depending upon where you are, you either start at 9 o'clock in Atlanta, Georgia, and you do the 3 pre-recorded segments and watch those and do all the activities, and then watch the keynote speaker, and then do the rocket kit.
And is the rocket kit something that they just order? Or
They order that off of Amazon. It's really easy.
Yeah.
But we're going to do a lot of fun things that most people don't usually do to it. So, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to bling it up. We're girls. We got to make it fabulous. So...
it's great. I mean, using existing kits and resources that are out there and helping augment that. That's
I mean, I'm an adult. I have never built a rocket kit in my life, so I'm more excited about this than the girls, I think, sometimes. But we've got a couple of, and we're also working with the NASA Astro Camp too. So they're providing some different activities for us to do related to rockets.
Okay. Yeah.
So, it's really great having that connection with the NASA Astro Camp for them. I mean, they've been doing that camp for 30 years now, and Miss Maria she is one of my heroes, and how she just makes it so easy for those of us who are facilitating her information for the girls to just be able to grab it and go.
And so did you already have that connection to NASA prior to coming to Huntsville, or was that something as you got into the ecosystem?
As I got into the ecosystem, yes, I went to a meeting and met Joseph Pelfrey, who is the Marshall Flight Center director. And then I met Johnny Sharp, who is our FBI. And thank you guys for taking my business card and saying yes to a lot of stuff that I've asked them. They have been fantastic in supporting me.
That's good.
One of the funny things that Johnny called me up a couple of months ago, and he goes, well, we can work with you. I was like, okay, great. He's like, yeah, we did a background check on you and on Athenian, and you guys are clear. Like, we're good.
You're good.
And I'm like, Johnny, you do know I'm going to be telling this story.
Please have your girls check their social media accounts. And,
Yeah. So, you know, I tell this story to the girls, and they're like, oh, he's serious. I'm like, he checked me out. He checked out the company before he would say yes to us coming. So, yeah, he's very serious.
It's a great campus, though. I mean, their presence is increasing in Huntsville, and there's so many different career paths. You know, like again, you talk a lot about getting that perspective, kids getting that perspective earlier, right? So they can figure out what they love or what they don't love, right? And the only way to do that is to go out and experience, fail at some things, or just go say yes to some things, and figure out what are career pathways with the FBI. Or it sounds like you've got some good leadership in your organization, connections to automotive industry, and there's so much there. I mean, manufacturing, industrial design, right? Not even just being a race car driver, right?
And that's the important thing that girls need to understand. There's going to be one driver in that car. It's going to take 100 or 1,000 people to support that one driver. And you can do so much and have so much fun. Every employer I talk to looks at me and says, we need more women. Please give us that pipeline. Like, if we had the talent, we would hire them. If we knew they were out there, we would hire them. And they go, and please tell them to get an electrical engineering degree with whatever else they get. So I look at my girls, I'm like, mechanical engineering and electrical engineering, do a dual major. You will never have to want for a job. You will always have a 6-figure job. So.
And I, as a parent of a teenage girl, I mean, it's almost frightening, and sometimes disconcerting, right? Just seeing the limited perspective in career paths. I mean, it's no doubt changing, right? But trying to get girls in more STEM pathways is critically important.
Well, I love Taylor Swift. If anybody out there knows Taylor Swift, please ask her to give a shout out to Athenian. We would love to have some Swifties as Athenians. She is one of those who encourages the girls to do everything and anything. Not just mess with your makeup, but, go out there and try different things. And we need more women in positions of influence like that to let them know that it's okay to be the one who wants to go out and wrench on something. It's okay to be the one that wants to get greasy building something,
Right.
My best stress relief is to build anything. Like, I literally can build anything. So, somebody goes, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I decided today I was going to build a cabin, whatever I come up with, But it's a stress relief for me. And it's funny because I meet some people and they're like, oh, you're too prissy to do that. And they see me at other times, they're like, do you ever get dressed up? And I'm like, I can do it all. Come on. And I want the girls to realize that, you can be the pretty one, and you can also be the adventurous one, and you can be the smart one, and you can be the one, who would save the world if it was coming to an end.
You don't have to get locked down to one.
Don't do just one thing.
Right.
So, but my career has also been very much like that. And we were talking about this earlier, like, I've always done whatever I wanted to do that made me happy. I never locked myself into a career path where I'm only going to be a designer of this one thing. And that's why I look so young, because I've always followed my heart and done the things that I really love.
Enjoyed what you do.
And I enjoy it. So whenever I talk about, when I called up Atlanta Airstream to go do a segment there for FabCamp, and I met him for the first time after 2 phone calls, he looks at me and goes, you are really passionate about what you do. And I have a teenage daughter, and she needs to be in your club. And I was like, sign her up. So,
and I mean, again, that perspective, figuring out those career paths early. There's so many people that get into a job that are working to work, and I mean, that's honestly a part of life. I mean, even in a leadership role, you're going to come across people that are just working for the paycheck and just to live. But there's a noticeable difference interacting with somebody who's just doing that, working because they have to, versus somebody who really enjoys what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the question we ask everybody, and this is a good segue to it. What was that spark for you? Did it happen later in life, early in life? But what was some examples of the influences that you had that sent you down a STEM pathway?
So I grew up on a horse farm and I was driving a tractor when I was 2, pulling the hay trailer behind, driving the bulldozer, driving the big old truck, driving everything, swinging a hammer. I was always building, driving, doing everything. And then fast forward to getting my degree, and I got a degree in design, and then got a degree in education and started, because I am a total nerd, started teaching drafting and design.
We have a lot of nerds here. This is a safe place. Yeah.
So, and then I went after certification innovation. And so all of that just kept building on the next thing. So for me, it's about exploring and doing as much as I could. And, I've got friends who are executive producers in Hollywood, and they'll go, oh, I'm going to go do this location. It's near you. Do you want to come? And I always say yes. I never say how much are you going to pay me, because I am learning and absorbing more by being around my friends, seeing them do their job, than I could get paid. Like, for me, it's so invaluable to watch everybody do everything. And when I was in sales, I used to sell commercial grade fabric. I always looked at my boss, and he will tell you that to this day because we're great friends. I was one who was like, okay, now I want to go to the manufacturing plant in North Carolina and see how they make this, because I want to be able to explain that to my clients. Like, I want to describe this to them so they're not going, okay, well, that's a pretty red color fabric. Like, I really want to take them into the experience. So I've always been the one that's like, and when I was, working in architecture, I'm the one who's up in the old attics and rafters of the churches that we would go, do different designs on. And I'm like looking at how everything was built in the early 1900s and like trying to figure out,
how do you work around that?
Yeah. So like I've always just dug into all of this, and that's what has made my career turn in the direction that it has, because it's always, where can I go do this? How can I learn this? I don't want to just be stuck in one place. Now, granted, I don't have a huge 401k, but I have a lot of life experiences that are invaluable, which build my skill set and allow me to be adaptable regardless of what financial situation the world is in. Like, I can always adapt. And it's really important to learn those skills so that you don't become the one who becomes the anxious, depressed,
or reliant on the W-2 job. So you went from design, you got a degree in education. Like, where did you go after that? Like, what did you do? I'm just curious.
So in 2006, I designed a card game. I was the 3% of women in the game board industry. Brought that to life, got written up in Cosmo magazine. I was going to be the next big it girl in Hollywood because Sex and the City was going away. And Madonna's Maverick Films, she went through and wiped out everybody in 2008.
Oh, no.
And I was part of that. I had just sold my house and was ready to move out there and got wiped out. And I'm like, okay, that's going to be fun. So started working with a lot of startups at that point. So basically from 2008 until now, I've just been working in the startup industry in Atlanta, Austin, and San Francisco, and San Diego. So I have that background of, somebody comes to me and goes, I want to do this company. Here's everything. I put together the whole package for them and go, okay, here you go. Here's your business plan. Here's your budget. Go make it happen. So. And
you're starting and running one yourself.
Yeah. And so I dove straight in 4 years ago and created Athenian, and it is my love. It's, my friends look at me and go, that's your child. And I'm like, yeah, it truly is. So, for me, it's just really important. I'm here for longevity. This is not going to be a flash in the pan. Like, I'm at midlife right now, so I've got another 55 years on this earth to really devote to making certain this is always around. And I'm going to be like that crazy Elon Musk, Sergey Brin, Steve Jobs with this. Like, I have had friends look at me and tell me to stop it. And I'm like, you don't understand. This is not going to be stopped. I want these girls to 20, 30, 40 years from now look back and go, when I was an Athenian at the very beginning, and now look at how many are out here. We've got the STEM sorority, the sisterhood that's across the U.S. By that time, we'll be global. They'll be able to support each other. They'll have that network. And that's an important thing, too. You know, there's some families or some people that have that built-in network. And so, you know, their kid goes to the same college they did. They've got that network built in. There's that other 95% of the world that doesn't. And I want Athenian to become that for these girls, that they know 10 years from now when they're going after their first real job, you know, it's the second one, they're stepping up in their career, that they can call on their network of Athenians and go, hey, I'm looking for this position. Do you know anything? And get the introductions they need. So.
Yeah, there's not, I mean, there are clubs out there, right? But those relationships they're developing with each other, and then the professional relationships that they develop and the mentors, those are lifelong things. And planting that seed in a kid's life and then seeing them grow on, you know, or grow up to be professionals and as you look to scale that, it's exciting, right? And the passion is obvious. The passion is obvious. So we talk about FabCamp. What's the mission to Mars?
Okay, so the Mission to Mars is our big free event for the summer that is open to girls and boys, so grades 6 through 12, and it is their opportunity to envision their life 20 years from now and write their space diary story. And we give them fun prompts. You know, they get a lot of research. We're bringing in different subject matter experts from NASA to give them like in-depth on, you know, different topics. It's just really fun watching the adults come in to support this because they understand the importance of going ahead and thinking about life 20 years from now, you know, envisioning what your life's going to be like so that you can work towards that goal right now. But then writing a story about it. And so, you know, then you have the story and you're like, and we have some fun creative stuff that we could basically probably create a Hollywood movie out of these stories after we get them all together. Yeah. So George Lucas, if you're listening to me, Steven Spielberg, we got a story for you. But we have until July the 17th for them to register for this. They have to turn in their stories by August the 17th. So hopefully they have all these complete before they go back to school. Then on November the 8th at the San Diego Air and Space Museum, we're going to have a huge press conference. We are going to have a NASA Mars rover team member there to announce who the top 10 are who get published in a book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So all of the kids that do this, the top 10 are going to be in this book. They'll be able to buy this book and show it to everybody. And, you know, and once again, another great thing for them to talk about for college essays.
And something tangible that they could go point to.
Exactly.
And I, having to actually help my daughter through a career prep planning exercise recently, having them sit down and try, like, be creative, but be realistic in thinking through what it actually takes. It was eye-opening, you know. You know, it's the things that that a lot of kids don't get taught, that when they go out into the world, the time management, the money management, and just the way, like, the things that they have to navigate while they're trying to make their journey happen, whether that's going through school or in some kind of, you know, field. It's great that y'all are creating something. And did I hear that they get to create like a patch too? Is there like a mission patch?
Yes, there is a mission patch. Okay. That's due by June 30th, and the ones that have been submitted so far are awesome. Yeah. And we're actually going to have these produced. Okay. So we'll have these for sale on our website for different kids to buy if they want to. You know, of course, the ones who are involved, they'll get one. Yeah. Just because, I mean, they look so, and they're explaining the symbolism behind it. Like, they're getting into this. So, you know, that gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. And, you know, we're going to have, I spoke with Emily Judd yesterday. She works at NASA, Langley. She's like, I want to talk to them as much as I can. Like, I want them to understand, like, what they can do in space. Like, when I was their age, I didn't understand I could do anything in space. So she's going to be one of those who we have these little pop-up sessions. I call them secret sessions.
Or like the keynotes that you were talking about.
Yeah. So we're going to have secret sessions coming up this week and next week. Okay. I have now also asked some adults to write their story, so we'll include those in the book. So they'll hear, we'll see the stories of, the teenagers, and we'll see the stories of the 30, 40, 50 years old. Mm-hmm. And, everybody projecting life 20 years from now. Because when you think about it, the iPhone came out June the 29th, 2007.
Hard to believe. Yeah.
Not that long ago. But it seems like it was forever ago. But just think about how much the world has changed then since 2007 to now. Yeah. Just imagine how much is going to change in the next 20 years. Very to me, that's the fun part. So, one of the things that kind of, the pushback that I get from people is, oh, well, this is a virtual club. It's like, yeah, but you got to remember, we're Generation X. We were in high school in the 80s and 90s. That was totally different than now. Mm-hmm. Now everybody has their own smartphone. The kids have better ones than I do, and they're like getting into everything on there. It's like they're going to be their life is going to be completely different than how ours was.
And connected through technology, yes. No doubt. And there's so much out there that, without going too far down the path of just social media and the type of content that kids consume, even around STEM, there is a lot of different resources and content out there, but it's not, it's in a way watered down, right? Yeah. You all are doing something that, you're trying to create the best connection you can possibly through a virtual means. And you're right. I mean, you look forward at 20 years, mm-hmm. It's going to only continue
to change.
To change and people be connected through technology and future generations, having just ease of use through a device and stuff. And the Gen Xers and those who might think that, oh, well, that's not going to work because it's not done in a classroom. And to a degree, they're not wrong. I mean, STEM in action and creating mm-hmm. a tangible environment where students are getting hands-on with something, it's tough to replace that.
Yeah.
But where you can't, right, and creating that virtual experience is super valuable, especially with those creating things that are really meaningful. That's great. So what are those meaningful things? I mean, you're talking about FabCamp and the mission to Mars, but when I look at the resources that you are creating, there's aspects of driving, there's building rockets, there's trucks and different things. So what are those different things and those different kind of experiences that you're creating for your Athenians?
So we started off with race cars at the very beginning. We've now expanded to rockets. So we're basically showing them everything that moves the world. Mm-hmm. Those are highly skilled, high income careers where it's transferable across all sectors. So really develop your skills, and you can follow any path from there. Inside the clubhouse, that's where we really connect them. That's where, the sorority comes together in there, the network. We have quarterly challenges. We have a competition coming up that's going to be the Tiny Spaces competition. So I drop a lot of Easter eggs. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Me and Taylor Swift are like that. I love her for that. So part of what we're doing at FabCamp is we're going to be exploring the Airstream sprinters. Tiny space. How do you design a tiny space like that? Because we have a lot of girls who are like, well, I want to be an interior designer. I'm like, do you realize you could design the interior of a sprinter, of an RV, of a boat, of an airplane? You don't have to just keep it on the ground.
Just be, a loft or something,
So we're doing that for FabCamp. That leads to the Tiny Spaces competition, where they are then going to go do research and go out and look at these tiny spaces. They're going to design their own tiny space container that we will then build next year for FabCamp, which leads then to our live workshop that we're going to have, where when we have camps, they'll each have their own little container. And so that becomes their home while they're there. So, and then when we get the farm, I'm just looking for that great visionary philanthropist and corporation who goes, we want to back this and really, invest in the girls being able to build and break and build and break. It's so important to have that shop experience. So, eventually 10 years from now, that's what I'm really aiming towards, is we create
actually creating a physical environment where STEM learning can happen.
Yes, and do it here in the middle of the country, and be able to bring the girls in from everywhere so that they can have their building experience. And as we continue to evolve and morph and change the way we do,
Yeah, and it doesn't always have to be so black and white, like virtual versus physical. Having a space like that can help you create a better experience for your virtual. So, I mean, it could be a hybrid model, right?
Yeah,
exactly. How do you take this, right, and put it in an environment that others can kind of see and consume?
Yeah.
Well, that's
and
great.
when they get to experience simulators like this, we built our BMW, and it is the most fun car for an 11-year-old to drive. And it takes away that fear because they're not going to crash it. They're going to play one of their games, Gran Turismo or iRace, whatever. And they're really going to learn how to drive before they get into a car. And then, the fear comes over because, like, I'm going to crash it. My parents are going to, and, unlike me, like, I'm out on a farm running everything everywhere. They can't do that. We've got so many girls that are based in cities, and we've got to give them that chance to be able to do those fun things, so that's where we just keep building and creating connections for them so that they can come. We have a variety of, 90% of what we do is virtual. And then we have 10% where we're doing tours, and I'll get a phone call from IndyCar, IMSA, from a team, and they go, oh, well, why don't you come join us for this race? And then that, I bring together a group of girls. So the girls who have seniority, who have really invested and engaged in being an Athenian, and they've learned, they practice their public speaking.
Actually get to go participate in that kind of
They get to go participate, so the ones who go, well, I'll just become a member later. Like, there's nothing right now. And I'm like, you don't understand how quickly something gets handed to me. Like, you've got to be prepared. Like, I'm not going to send somebody who knows nothing.
It could be your call from your Hollywood friend to come on set of something.
Exactly.
You got to be ready to say yes.
Yeah. And they've got to have the preparation. They've got to present for the company properly. Know, how their body language and what they say affects the company. If you just offhandedly make offhanded remark, that's going to come back on Athenian. That's going to make us look bad. So, you've got to have that training. You've got to practice. So we do a lot of that with them. And, Helena, Akshaya, Megan, they will all tell you how much this helped them. And, especially when they're presenting, in front of, their professors at college. And they're the ones that stand up and take the lead. And these were the shy ones when I first met them. And now they're like, watch out, world, here I come. So I love watching that growth happen.
That's great.
Yeah.
So talk about growth. What would you say, like, is you're coming to a new state, picking up? What are some of the biggest barriers that you see in general, or even your own barriers to growth, right?
Yeah. So we basically had to do a reset with this. Moving it from the West Coast to here, you have to close down the corporation in the old state. You have to open up a new corporation here. Love Alabama. Alabama, you are great. Very easy to work with.
And some exciting things happening in STEM. Yeah.
Yes. And, with the new STEM ecosystem being built out, this is the opportunity for the nonprofits, like Athenian, and for the corporations, and for the schools, for all the supporters to come together and build this out correctly in a way that it helps deliver the information to the parents and to the students so that they know the opportunities that are available. Because I can tell you, it has been very hard to get responses from anybody in the area. So, I'm going to keep knocking on doors, and people can keep looking at me and saying no, and I'm going to keep knocking on the door, and they're going to see me at every event that I can attend. Now, granted, I moved us here. I grew up in Atlanta originally. I'm doing a lot of work with one of my great board advisors up in Nashville. So I'm building out this whole triangle of, really trying to get a great footprint here in the South. I am a Southern girl. I do want the South to just have this incredible group of little girls that goes out there and changes the world. I will say that I'm very, very keen on that. So,
well, the South could use more of that. I think overcoming some of the views of the South, and I
Yes.
mean, Huntsville's its own little, tech and STEM ecosystem in itself. But you go outside in broader North Alabama or the state itself, and then just look at the southern region. It's great that you're connecting Nashville and Atlanta, because there's so much there and so much in between.
Yes.
There's
so many manufacturers. There are so many companies. I mean, this is such a great place to put Athenian, because we've got, Mercedes-Benz, VW, Nissan, all of these companies. I think Mazda and Toyota in Huntsville.
Yeah.
And then Cirrus and, all of the different boat companies. And there's so much here that I would love so badly to get in touch with the CEOs of all those companies. If you're listening, give me a call, because I want to talk to you, because I want to create this talent pipeline that goes out of high school straight into their company. So maybe the girls are doing an apprenticeship and they're not going to a 4-year college, or maybe they're going to community college while they're working an internship. And you just get this amazing group of girls that are going to have an extreme loyalty to your company, because you've supported Athenian as they were growing up through junior high and high school. Yeah. And, just creating that character and instilling that in kids again, where, they understand who supported them. Okay, let's go show the world what we can do. We're going to show them that we're courageous, that we have confidence, that we commit to the things we're going to commit to, and that we have the character to follow this through, and we have a work ethic. And so that's what, you have those 4 things. A job the company can give you whatever special training you need. If you have that core ability built into you, you can do anything. So, now I just need for the CEOs of these companies to come to me and go, okay, let's put together, the Nissan track. Let's put together the, one of the aerospace companies in Huntsville track,
And so kind of back to the barriers question. I mean, is it getting industry partnerships? Is that one of the bigger things that's going to help you overcome hurdles, or what else do you see, especially just coming in? I mean, I know you're from the South, but you're bringing a fresh perspective into the state and into an ecosystem. So is it participation of industries that's something we need to work on, or what else are you seeing?
Membership. It's been really hard for me to crack the code and get into the school. So now I'm going, okay, parents, let me just focus on getting in front of the parents, because the parents are the ones who are racking their brains going, what are we going to do to get her to stand apart so that she gets the job that she wants, or she gets into the college that she wants to go into? So, what can I do to help her get to that point? And that's where Athenian comes into play, because, we're going to help her really develop her skills and, develop more of her so that she has that ability. So, yes, right now I need to talk to as many parents as I can to just, it's about raising awareness. There are so many websites out there. There's so many clubs. There's so many
information overload. Yeah,
it's totally information overload, and everything that I do. And I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars advertising in Huntsville with zero return. I was total guerrilla marketing in California, and it was like everything just got handed to me. And I'm like, I'm not spending any money, but the press loves the story. The companies are getting behind this. Qualcomm was a huge supporter for us back then. And now that I've moved, I've still got a fantastic board director who involves Qualcomm and everything. So, it's really, getting the word out through the employee resource groups of different companies. They don't have to write a check right now. They will let all of their employees know that, hey, parents, here's something for your daughter to do. That would be one of the best things everybody can do for free. Just, let the parents and the kids, the girls know. And right now, during Mission to Mars, boys too. Yeah. They can totally get involved in that. So,
well, I love that idea, because we talk with a lot of people on here about industry playing a bigger role in STEM. Okay, what does that mean? And it could be an individual's time going into the classroom, adding that perspective about careers. It could be opening their doors to have field trips and do those things.
Yes.
But the thought of taking STEM resources and those partnerships with industry, because that's where the parents are. The parents are their workforce, right? And helping, having them be a conduit between STEM resources and a parent. that's kind of an insightful thought, right? And not one that I've heard very often, right? And helping, using industries to help market to parents, right? And that's great.
That's what attracted me to Huntsville. There's this huge rocket industry there. Every little kid right now is dreaming of space. So how do we get in? I mean, the families, the parents that work at these companies, they're the brainiacs. Like, they're the ones who are creating these awesome little kids who are going to go out there and do even more and change the world. And they have a parent who is really showing them, leading them through it. So, yeah, like, I just saw that and I thought, okay, these are my families. These are my parents right here who will understand. We're all just as nerdy as each other. Certainly. We all get it. We all love it. We all want little kids to love it as much as we do. How do we do that? And so, last week I did a class at Tech Trek Camp at University of Alabama, Huntsville. We had 64 girls there. The perfect group of Athenians right there in front of me. And I'm looking at them, talking them through how I built, I call her Poppins, but the e-bike. Yeah. And they look at me and they go, well, when would we do this? And I looked at them and I said, girls, if you look at your parents and you say, I want us to build this e-bike together, your mom's probably going to tear up and immediately go order it because she's trying so hard to figure out how to have time with you and how to work with you and how to have a conversation with you. And if you could build something together, like, that's every parent's dream. And they just looked at me like, oh, like, they really want to, like, do something with I'm like, yes, they want to do something with you. Yeah. Like, do these kind of things together. And, with our classes being self-paced, our current student advisory board president, Anjali, has a younger brother who's 4 years younger than she is. And he's the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. I love him. And he follows her around. He's always like, Miss Loxley, so polite. He's so sweet. He's like, I want to build a bike. And Anjali's like, no, I want to build a bike. And so Mom ordered them a bike. It's going to be his bike. Yeah. But Anjali, being the older sister, is going to help with the project management and the time management of it. Okay. So I'm going to go over there and help them get him started because he also wants to film it for his YouTube channel. I'm like, yeah, let's
put it out there. Yeah.
All of this in one foul swoop. So
well, that's a younger kid putting it on a platform and trying to deliver an experience through a way that his peers understand.
Yes.
Right? And that's
exactly.
Man, that's great. That's great. So what else? As far as things looking forward at the rest of the year, we kind of hit on some of the events. Yeah. We've talked about what students need to know, parents, even industries, right? And giving you a call. What would you say to the teachers, the educators, the schools out there, and again, I mean, both what they could get partnering with Athenian, but I mean, again, as you're coming into the ecosystem, your own observations, I think I would appreciate, and others would too.
Yeah. It's been really hard finding the right connections at schools. And when I wrote the book, and this is the book that really helps to explain Addie, little Athena. She's a 15-year-old inventor. And so we're going to use telling the story through this 15-year-old's eyes of, how she ended up in Huntsville. Who's this adventurous Aunt Loxley that's teaching her these things, and then take the girls through the steps of, time management, project management, internship. This is how they're going to get their bite into the charm and get. So I wrote this book in January. I introduced it at the Alabama School Librarian Association conference on the 1st of February. Walked in there with this and said, ladies, I've got a book series for your young girls who are the 5% of kinesthetic learners who want to do things with their hands. This really helps them dive into it. And it's not your typical book. When you look into it, it has graph paper. So unlike the usual book where your parent says, don't write in it, I want you to write in this. I want you to circle the parts that you love. I want you to draw ideas. There's actually a couple of pages in here where I'm like, list out certain things. Like, I want you to do your to-do list and how you're dreaming. This is not your typical book. So, I'm showing it to the librarians, and they're like, okay, the kids are going to love this. And it is really hard to get the teachers involved in it, because the teachers are so busy with the testing and keeping them on track with that. And I'm like, okay, so my librarians are my people. They get where we're trying to go with this and get all the kids.
Was it received well? Did you end up getting this in circulation?
It was received well, and then it kind of just, once again, another roadblock. So, they got busy with into school. So, and you'll hear this from a lot of people. It's really hard to find that connection into a school or into a company, and they be there longer than 6 months.
It's true, yeah.
So, you meet somebody and you send another email a couple of months later and they're gone. It's like, how do we
ensure some continuity?
find continuity? How do we get the schools involved with this? Because this is in addition to what they do. This is for the little girls. The teachers are like, I don't know how to reach them. Give them this, because this will be the part that fires up something in them. And then that will help you in the classroom, because now you've created this connection for her. She can see how, math works with, whatever we're doing at Athenian, or, how the physics is working with all of it, the chemistry involved. Just the artists are like, love everything, because I am a little bit of an artist too. So like, I always bring art into everything I do. But, I have that engineering mindset. I love doing everything in technology. So it's like, this is the way to connect all of those pieces together. And I think in some ways it probably just scares the teachers, and they're like, no, I can't handle this overload. But at the same time, like, the girls need it. Just pass the information along to them. Put a poster in your classroom.
Yeah.
And let them see that it exists.
Well, it's a challenge to affect change in a curriculum too, right?
Yes,
Because there are certain things that they need to teach to, but I hope that as we progress in the future, especially like in this state and the formation of Alabama STEM ecosystems, is that one of the things of the network of everybody coming together is that a school, a teacher would be able to look at resources like yours and other nonprofits.
Yeah.
And try and elevate the experience and the curriculums in their own schools with the many resources that are out there, right? It doesn't all have to be created in one kind of cookie cutter, because the braided river, as we call it, these kids are going to go down so many different pathways in STEM. We need to free up that river a little bit, right? And creating different pathways for them, right? And not locking them into one.
Yeah, and I keep looking at everybody going, I want your daughters to do the sports. I want her to do robotics. I want her to be Athenian. I want her to, of course, be passing all of her classes and getting a good GPA. But it's like, she's got to be rounded out. You can't just be first. You can't just be Girl Scouts. Like, that's going to keep you in such a limited viewpoint. You need to bring in, it's like me traveling around the world, which I've done. It opened my eyes to how different everybody is, how different the cultures are. I shed that white bread American mindset like day one. It's like, okay, now I understand why people make fun of Americans. So, it's like, you got to do that and just open it up so that there's a plethora of events that the girls can do, and it's going to really help to form them. And there's so many times, and all of the adults that work with my girls that talk to them, they're like, you are going to learn so much stuff that 20, 25 years from now, you're going to go back and go, that skill that I'm doing, like, I remember doing that, like, when I was an Athenian, I was doing FabCamp, and I learned how to do this. It's like, I never thought I'd use it, and now here I am, I'm using it every single day. Yep. So, I was the one who, funny story, my high school algebra teacher actually quit after teaching me and made certain that I knew that I was the reason why he quit teaching.
Because you were bad at math, or another reason?
Because I was bad at math. I'm like, but now I'm the one that puts the budget together. I can put together an Excel spreadsheet, like everything that the not good teachers told me when I was in high school. I have defeated all of that, and I'm really great at it now. Wasn't great at algebra. I don't know when I use algebra in my life right now, but I'm great at budgeting and finances and everything it takes to pull that together.
And guess what? Every adult needs to know how to do.
Yes.
I think that is something that in math, I've shared on here, like I too struggled, and that even impacted like some of the STEM fields that I went down. I mean, fortunately it worked out, but yeah, like both in my personal life and professional, managing budgets and that financial acumen and budget management in your own household, like these are the things that when a kid goes out into the world, the life just it is difficult. So they need to learn those skills.
So one of the great things we're going to be adding this fall, with everything else that we're also doing, is we're going to have an advice meeting each month. And so one of the first is going to be a college is going to help with what you need to do for your college admissions essays.
Okay.
We're going to have one of our board directors is going to, she's the mom, so she's going to walk the kids through, these are the things you've got to do to be ready to be the adult when you go to college. Yep. You know, like you've got to start going through these steps right now so that when you leave next year for college, if you're a senior right now, you're going to be prepared. Like you're not just going to walk into a dorm room and, you know, have a meltdown. So we're doing that. And then we're going to have another board advisor. Dana is going to come in to talk about networking. She's been in the aerospace industry for 30 years now. And so she really wants the girls to learn how to truly network. So, you know, we're going to start bringing in these kind of, I'm calling them the advice segments, where it's like you just really kind of dive deep into something that's really it's something that you need in life. So,
and they may not realize it in the moment, but you're right. They're going to reach a point in life where they look back and they're like, oh, I learned that when I was an Athenian. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Any parting thoughts? Any you want to highlight your events again or anything else?
So FabCamp is July 8th through the 12th. They need to sign up by July the 5th. So a few more days to get that done.
Right around the corner.
Yeah. The Mission to Mars is July. You have to sign up by July the 17th and turn your story in by August the 17th. So that's right around the corner. But becoming a member right now so that you're ahead of the game on everything that's coming up this year. You know, next year we're having a driving academy, but there are multiple classes they have to take before they can even apply to be in the driving academy. Mm-hmm. So, you know, don't put off becoming a member because the driving academy doesn't start, you know, you don't have to apply until April. Like, you'll be behind the curve. You won't be able to apply. And then we're also having a huge conference next year. So there's just, when you're in the clubhouse, you know everything that's happening, and we bring in those who engage, and I watch to see who will do the work. So, you know, if a parent calls me up and goes, well, I need for you to introduce my daughter to Aerojet Rocketdyne because I want her to be an intern there. I'm like, so
not exactly what we do.
No. Like, what has she done? What has she done inside Athenian to prove to me that she's capable of doing the work?
Is she ready to go have that conversation?
Yeah. Like, I'm not just going to introduce a child to a company because she's a member for a month. Mm-hmm. You have to prove to me you're going to do the work. And, you know, work ethic and following through on what you say you do is huge. And it's really amazing how many people don't do it, whether they're a teenager or an adult. You know, I always get, you know, hey, can you introduce me to so-and-so? And I'm like, okay, well, put this together, send it to me. Send me an email with, never happens. So, you know, it's like, I want to see that you can actually produce, that you are committed to whatever your path is. Mm-hmm. So when that happens, I love watching my girls grow and, you know, being able to go to a race and meet, you know, this famous race car driver. You know, Anjali got to meet Catherine Legg and Sheena Monk. Oh, wow. Catherine Legg is, you know, IndyCar right now. She just got off Pikes Peak. She's incredible. She's such a fantastic role model. So, you know, and those kind of things land in my lap. You know, somebody will call it, DHL called me up, DHL and Andretti called me up 3 weeks before we had girls there at the race last year to meet Jamie Chadwick. So you never know. And that's why being a member is so important, because they're going to find out these things that the rest of the world doesn't know about until we go, hey, by the way, we're at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with Jamie Chadwick today. And everybody's like, how did that just happen? So
become a member.
Become a member.
Yep,
yeah,
for sure.
Very important. We want to have a great basis of, you know, my goal is 1,000 members by the end of this year. And I think we can do that just here in the South and just prove to the rest of the United States how strong our little Southern girls are. So.
Well, your passion and your persistence, I have not a doubt in my mind.
We're going to do it.
Yeah, that's great. Loxley, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Loxley and Athenian for letting us help tell their story about the role that virtual membership programs can play in STEM education, and for providing a fresh perspective about the work that we still have to do in building the Alabama STEM ecosystem. Please check out the description of this episode for links and visit beathenian.org for more information about becoming a member. Please make sure to like and subscribe to this podcast for more episodes and exclusive video content that you can share to help connect STEM across your communities. Incubate Talent is powered by Teshalon Solutions and its partners, a collective of organizations who aim to spotlight the countless STEM programs offered by schools, nonprofits, and industry by aggregating the stories of students, educators, professionals, and communities through a digital means. Thanks again for listening to Incubate Talent and helping build your STEM ecosystem.